So I'm going to go through the Output tab right now. The Output tab lets you set the resolution. Typically, it's set to window resolution, which looks at this window and outputs that window. You also have full HD, you know, and let's go ahead and make this full screen while we're doing this so you can kind of see it. It's going to just resize everything HD based on the aspect ratio, Ultra HD, and resize everything. What you're going to need for your print is probably much larger. So you will most likely want to go to Custom and set it to an aspect ratio that makes sense. Our aspect ratio is a little bit more square, right, based on the InDesign template. And so you could go ahead and start with 4,000 by 4,000. You guys should be able to calculate, like 100, 200 DPI, 300 DPI for however large of an image that you need, and then multiply that. The 4,000 by 4,000 should get you pretty close. And then one thing I wanted to talk about is the export ID, material ID, depth channel, and alpha channel. Enscape will go in there and make masks for you, which is really great. I'll go ahead and check that. And we'll do one export before we jump into creating stuff. You can set the file format. JPEG, Targa, or PNG is fine for right now. The OpenEXR has a lot more information that we're not necessarily in need of right now. The default folder, you set your default folder where you want this to go. So I'll set this to, again, set it to somewhere where you know where it's going, right? Because otherwise it's just going to go to a default place and you're going to have to search for it. It's kind of that same thing. I would stay away from the automatic naming in this case. That's mostly used for videos when you're rendering out like 500 raw video things and it will name it automatically for you. We don't need the video or the panorama. So once you get all that set, if you click close here, that means that that's all set up for this particular view. What you can also do is you can show the safe frame, which actually is not going to show up because we have a black background. Let me turn off the backdrop for a minute. And if you go in and show the safe frame, it will show you what it's going to render. You typically don't want to render more than you need. So if you do a rectangular one, it would render all of that out. So this little safe frame up here shows you that. So let me go ahead and turn the backdrop back on. And let's go get Enscape open again. And so if you want to export, the export is up here. It's a screenshot, and it's going to use that output resolution to create a screenshot. So if I come in and left click on this screenshot, right, it's going to send me to the renderings folder, and I can then name it. So I'll name this, southwest below, or it's actually southeast below, and hit enter. And so it's going to render that out, and it's very, very fast because it's doing the processing as we discussed. It's doing it on the GPU. While you're here, it's flattening it and rasterizing it. It's pretty amazing how fast it is. If I come in and let's take a look. Let's go in here and look at renderings for class. It's rendered out the image itself at 4,000 by 4,000. It's also rendered out an object ID. So it split it up into individual objects. And it also did a material ID. Now we only have one material, so it's not very complex. And the alpha channel is almost nothing because we have that big black background in there. It doesn't have an alpha channel, but if you had sky or nothing behind, it would give you the alpha channel. But you will get an object ID, a material ID, and then an alpha channel mask that you can open up in Enscape, which is pretty great. So that is a quick introduction to the view setting, the view management. So we looked at view management and the view settings, right? And so we're going to be using these in conjunction with each other. Again, the view settings are all these tabs over here, and then these are saved versions of the view settings over here that you guys are going to use. All right. So when we come back, we'll actually sort of walk through the whole process of setting up the lights and doing it and saving views and all that kind of stuff, and then outputting it.